Coming into center of operation of anything that we do is understand location of track settings. It's all position location of how we use ourselves. There's volumes in all line position, all levels, to locations. Now we did a very powerful connection of what we're coming into is memory. Okay, what is memory? What does that all mean? It means that everything around you is already set, which means it's already done. But you can't see in the process that until you understand you first. And before you understand you won't understand space and time. Space and time comes to you. When space and time comes to you, you're coming into your memory. So every place that you go, it's setting its position. Everything is in chronological order. And you pick these things up in certain levels and set locations. There's a reason why you drive this car. There's a reason why you go out with this person. There's a reason why you're watching this movie. Everything is set up for you through memory. So when you pick these things up, you're getting back memory of what you already co-created of its reality. To understand the reality is understand coming back to your reality that you've already lived. And when you start living in the existence of all set location system, it's already set. You stay in the now. And this is the process that we're coming back to, is our memory first. Keep those vibrations high and set position to its location, put you in the levels of a bar graph of its design location. The pyramid activations of view is at the top of the point. It slides down and position across lines. Graphing, streaming, set location, high interference, and all direction system. How you use your PowerPoints, graphing screens, electrical lines, wires, line rotation interference, track correlation system, clock line centers, monitoring communication setting directions. Right? Everything is inside of you. Okay? So that's what everybody's coming back to, is the process to understand is the inner child. The creation that you already know is already set. And I want to make it very well clear. Everything you do, you're coming back to of its memory. Every place you go, you're coming back to. You go to the ocean. You go here. You go there. Any place you go, you're coming back to memory. Everything you pick up, you're coming back to memory. And you know why you're coming back to memory? It's because you're awake. Now, it started off as a unified ascension, right? The process now is the cycles, coming in 24 cycles, left hemisync, right hemisync, position of right atmosphere, left hemisphere, positive, negative, light and dark, odd and even, black and white, yin and yang. It's all levels of balance. But how do you interpret your system through inside locations, your brain activity settings? How do you interpret these things when you perceive things? So whatever you perceive, your brain isn't interpreting. It's putting things together. Oh, correlation, high interference, traffic calculation, setting direction. So in that position location, it knows exactly what it is. When it understands what it is and it sees through perception and it doesn't see emotion, you're not creating shadows, because you all have to do shadow work. Shadow work is an interpretation of what the brain can't understand. It's like, okay, can you move? I'm trying to draw something here. Somebody's in your way and you're trying to draw a silhouette of somebody. So there's a shadow. Move the shadow away, you see the complete drawing. Now, what's happening is it's creating a what? An abstract. It's creating the chakras inside you. It's trying to create a formation of a picture of its design, of what you see. And wherever you see, you're in a direct signal. If I'm going to look at the wall is interpreting. Oh, wall on communication interference. So what I'm seeing is everything is seeing me. And it's connected to its senses, and my senses are connected to me all at once. All at once is all timelines at once, which is the now. Okay? Perceive and see everything in the now. This is the process how you come into your set locations, anything electrical, right? Really get into the adaptation of the inner child and have fun with it. Get in creativity. Okay, this is the process that everybody has to come into. So once you understand that, in any place that you go, in any way and form, you take a trip in that set location system, you're there for a reason. It's a calling. It's a clarion call. You're supposed to be there. So you get back your memory because you're awake now. And when you're awake, you understand why you're there. Because you've already been there. And that's why the memory understands these things. So space and time comes to you more and more and more and more and more and more and more over time. But you got to create the space inside first, because that's how you communicate with everything of its holographic design. Okay? Holographic design is everything. It's an imaginary line that you can't see, but it's there. Does the brain see it? If the brain doesn't see interpretation of what it is, the colorations of light or anything of space and time, track, location, setting, it's creating what? What is it creating set locations of? What is it creating supposition locations of? And track communication, setting, directions. Sending correlations, sending directions to a system. Okay. It's to understand how this all works, guys, and all direct settings. Okay. It's creating quantum interference. This is your brain. Activity line, streamline, set location line interference. There's its drawing, what it created. That's your brain. This is the image that's coming through. So in line calculation, this is shadow work. It should be this. But it sees this because you change line calculations to emotional system. Right? So you understand the interpretation, how this all works now, guys? How this has to see its set location, what is through perception, instead of seeing this through quantum entanglement. If you're completing a cycle, line communication, that's totally fine. It sets location of flywheel. It's understanding this direct signal where it is in chart location system, but everything that general doesn't go through emotion. It goes forward. It doesn't go back. It goes forward. So if you're going back, the brain is interpreting going back, and it's creating a shadow. All right, so in line position, it's creating an abstract. So this is the brain calculation, setting, directions, all levels of locations, dimensional door lines, rotation surface, track communication, setting, interference, two-line, wave line, rotation surface, track communication, setting, high position location, operation surface, triangulation height setting, and all of its dimensional doors, locking signal, and high position location traction. See the eye? Intelligence, face recognition. That is the correlation. So that's exactly what my brain looks like right now. Interpretation of face recognition, setting on high position attraction. Okay. So in that set of locations, what are you looking at? It's perceiving, three-line communication. All right. So the eye center line calculation is this. These are your eyes, location system. Right? There's the brain, there's your eyes. Whoa, this is getting freaky. Set position location track line. Okay. Now, understand this application line setting, and I'll track to its communication system. I'll track communication line setting directions. So really understand how this all works is really understand how to see yourself through waving cycle. Line position location of past, in position location of present, and line calculation of its future location of setting. So it interprets locations past. Okay, that's good. Present's good. But the future is its past. Okay, so the future is past, set location line interference, set position track line, shadow work, line communication. That's what you created. Oh, it disappeared. Too fast. See? That's what you created. That's what the image created through the brain. Because you add emotion. Okay? Now, the brain doesn't think. Okay? The brain is basically, it's an activity center. It's an ecosystem. So the ecosystem is the energy line, collaboration, and communication to its operation. We understand the eco-line correlation high interference of three-track communications and directions. Correlations sets position track communication of its moon. There's the moon. Position location of all levels of dimensional sail. Solar sail communicates and setting direct signal to its operation surface. Setting track to its operation line setting opens all portals and communication setting, direct signal, operation surface, and track communication. Look at that. It's all through design. This is not going backwards. It's going forward. You see any shadow there? No, there's no shadow. A shadow is created at the location of emotional line interference because you have to understand you have 12 block line settings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 block locations. Brain's in the center. Okay, create a location around the line setting. It's also a position location that moves line cycles. Forward and backward communication, direct and redirect location. There's your brain in the center. Now the brain's understanding the blocks. It's putting it all together, the image, position, location, settings, and the 12-line signal. Okay? Now in that line interference, anything you set through motion sets a shadow right away, sets a shadow right away, sets a shadow right away in position. There's 3 shadow communications. So it can't complete its image. It can't create its image. It can't create its structure. It can't create its design. So it affects everything in sonar communication to each position location to its block system that disrupts the channels of our operation line interference, causing a virus correlation setting and traction. That's applications. Off to the brain. Okay, so how important is it? Very important. Okay, structure, design, line, position locations, all levels of high center interference and location grid settings, right? Or some timelines, high center interference of sonar. Direct calculations coming back and track to its communication surface. Directing the line, position location, all levels of setting. Operation set location lines of the sun and position location and projection location of the moon. Directing high calculation of security line, defense lines, and streamlines, high interference and travel calculation. Now, in that direct signal, we put up a new platform, new correlation setting, and direct signal. Tunnels of communication and line setting and traction. Okay? That's correlating high interference, location setting, and subways. Okay, so in that direct signal location, we set up platforms, setting position, location, and traction. Okay, platforms are set up. Now we set a line connection of dome, line position, location, levels, and add a line rotation surface, detection stream locations, and line setting locations, standing up point of view. Setting position track lines, structure design lines, high center interference, buildings, cross signals, high calculations, ocean cities, garden cities, cosmopolitan cities, all track to its communication to its surface. Done. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? So to create this is understand what the brain's doing. So in that line interference, the brain converts its location setting directions. It's amazing how it comes in all calculations of travel setting interference. Use your finger point line communication setting the highest center position of track lines. Direct line communication setting all levels of set location in your system that tracks its communication to all planetary surface. So your brain is always different because you're changing your emotional setting. But the balance of the emotional setting is changing the coloration. You have 12 signals, foundation of graph. You got a 13 graph screen in set location of the system, right? Connect in high interference, higher self, puts position locations. That's your Earth. Okay, same position location, there's your plasma around the Earth. Okay, here is the country communication setting directions below the Earth. Okay, so setting line interference, higher self sets position location track lines, opens all signals, travels its direct signal location, and protects its Earth line. Protects its Earth line communication of scan settings, right? Scans position. Now the brain is an operation line interference, sets position location to its all set location. So it comes into its own plasma wall, plasma channel, plasma operation set location. Now in that direct lines, it circles and rotates, circulars and rotates, circulars and rotates in set position of traction. Now in direct signal, it's all about understanding where it goes in set location of 3 lines, high position of 4 or 5 position of track communications of setting. Direct and line communication setting comes into all levels of the avatar. Avatar sets up the geometric operation design and 3 line signals. So you're always in the past, you're always in the present, you're always in the future. When you're drawing, putting line calculations at all levels into a pi, erection of time sequence that puts all levels of patterns in recognition, high set position locations and sightings of recognition of time sequence and all levels of calculation of clocking. Very complicated stuff, but this is the higher self monitoring. When I woke up in line interference, I was scanning planets and I didn't know what that meant. And now I do. So what that does is basically understanding that you are monitoring your Earth in your position locations. All right, higher self calculations. Here's the Earth. Okay. So it scans its position always in 3 setting. Always. Because you're connecting the past, present, and future. To understand that set location is its pi. That's all timelines all at once, guys. Okay? It's very simple. See how that's set up? Now, understand that calculation, you understand the countries. Each country has its own representation lines of its force, direction, and time sequence and set location. Now, in that direct line interference, higher self tethers into the avatar. This is your avatar in set location, right? And this is your connections to your holographic city and set position locations to your sim and sets direction. Okay? You see how that works? That's how it works every single time. Every single time. So the avatar sets up geometry and inference, changes box lines, triangulation, service location. All it does is creates models of communications, of travel recognition of time sequence. That's all it does. Just creates travel. Higher self monitors its Earth in set location of human residence, brings frames, position, location of 13 graph line calculation setting, opens all patterns in direction of time sequence and all levels of box location. Okay? Direction and timelines in dimensional doors. Correlate high interference, high position location, high center interference of different countries and communication setting to open up all dimensional door line calculations into position. Okay? So you know what the avatar does. It does calculation of equal lines of GOD, position track lines. Sim does the navigation, the mind through surroundings to its holographic sim, which is its holographic city, which is its academy. You understand how powerful that is and what you're doing? So getting in that position locations is understand the implication. Now, this is how it all works through telepathy. Telepathy is everything through the higher self, through the avatar, through the sim. Okay? So the higher self controls the Earth. The avatar controls the GOD. And the sim controls the navigation. Simple, guys. It's so simple. So easy. So easy. All right? Now, understand the balance line, power line, direction, time sequence, all levels of set location in Earth setting. Sets all good connection to graph lines. This is where it comes into human resonance, into waves, and set location setting and directions, all through process. Okay? Now, the avatar sets line correlation setting directions, understands the GOD. So you got 2 position track communications. There's your avatar, right? Travel set location lines into all line communications. So it's keeping track of the higher self too. So you all work together into low mediation, medium mediation, and high mediation, right? So that's 3 track location settings in box line rotation, surface, and triangulation. So it's really interesting when you come into plateaus of communication of 3 lines, in position location of 3 lines, in position locations in 3 lines, in your line communication of travel settings, as set locations. Okay? So they all work together in one. So once you get into that plateau, the higher self, okay, the avatar, okay, and set location line interference, and your sim all come together. What is that? 69. 69, guys. Booyah. Multipass. Okay? So higher self, avatar, sim together create 6 and 9. 6 and 9 platitudes, line and rotation, sets correlation settings of traction. So you have 6 lines and high line interference of travel communications. Directing line position locations of yin and yang. Process position location all levels 6 and line communication 9. Putting position locations all levels, ground center interference, balance communication of 3 line set locations, monitors communication of 13 graph screen and line rotations. The avatar correlates the high interference of its graph stream, which is 114. Remember, the higher self is only in a 12-line ground line rotation surface. The avatar is 114, and the sim is its navigation to set location line settings identification to its system. Okay? Very powerful set locations. But if you put the higher self and the avatar and the sim together, create 6, 9. Okay, that's a mega pass for you guys. All right, so that's pretty simple right there, right? Simple, easy, higher self. Look at that. Higher self avatar. What is it creating? in set location line setting high direct location to a system. Once it comes into its sim of set location, 6 and 9, right? 6 lines of correlation setting directions. So, and that system comes into a line setting in a rotation surface in position location of your systems in line calculations to an atom location. Turns into an atom. Oh my gosh. So, Jenna, are you telling me that the higher self, the avatar, and the position of the sim turns into an atom? Whoa, where did that come from? Set location to a system. So once it turns into an atom, it stays in balance in all 3 locations. So it monitors its Earth, it monitors its GOD, and it monitors its Space Academy and line set location. So that's what it is. 1, 2, 3. Okay. I know, eh? It turns into an atom. Now you know. You guys are reaching those line settings, but you have to really understand the low, okay, which is mediation line stream, calculation high interference, and location higher self, monitors this location to its Earth, and perception, okay? So what I mean by that is the Schumann resonance that controls the alpha, delta, theta, beta, omega, and zeta, zega. Line calculation high in positions. Now the avatar, basically all it controls is the power line settings and direct signals to its perceptions of the sun and perceptions of the moon. Okay, that's all it creates. But it creates geometric location of high settings, okay, geometric operation of design. So the avatar morphs into anything through shape, anything through travel in set location. Okay? So it sets position of point systems and all track line calculation setting and all level setting. Okay? Creates, that's all it does. Creates, that's all it does. That's all it does. All right, and the connection to your sim basically mines navigation of the surroundings to its Space Academy. Okay, that's all it is. Now, when you have it all together in line calculation setting, what you're doing is you're coordinating high interference. It becomes its atom. Atom rotates and circulates the rotation setting and position. So each atom in line calculation setting is direct signal to your realities, which is your body in set location. Right? So every atom in your body circulates and rotates and sets position location of separation into the center line communications of the atom line that serves its line conditions, that creates its Merkaba, that creates its high calculation setting and directions of what's above and what's below and what's in center communication of travel and recognition. Okay? Very powerful. So where it stands at ground lines operation surface, this where it comes in location to a system and travel. Okay? So in that line calculation setting in direct system, it automatically becomes your pyramid of activation stream. Okay? So in that set location system, your particle streamlines separates all lines, your body fragmentation line interference of consciousness into the center operation of you that puts a position of process in all levels of calculation of force line settings and all direct signal to all operation surfaces at location. That design. Okay? Very powerful. So now you know what it creates. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? How you bring in set location, the higher self, the process, the correlation center to the avatar, and the sim creates 6 and 9. So when you create the 6 and 9 in set position location, what's happening in set location line setting? It's going forward and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. Faster it goes, it creates its atom in set location. So your settings of your Earth and your powers and your atmospheres of space becomes one atom rotation. One. So that means in set position locations, you start living all levels of the sim, which is your simulation in 2-line tracks, intelligence in 1-line rotation, and metric meters of memory in line calculation of 3 set locations. Now, in that line communications comes in block line centers, position of 3 platforms in direction. Okay? Now, in that communications comes into a teeter reception in set locations. There's the TV. All right, so once you get in that line interference, you come into platforms, okay, which is electrical communication settings and 3 line centers and height of rotation surface and traction. Once you come into that, you come into the walls and line communication to the ceilings and center line rotation to your system locations. Okay, so that's what you're coming into is a TV. But you got to come into the sim. The higher self, what does the higher self do? What's its process? Why is it here? What is it control? What is it aware of? Okay, what is the avatar? What does it do in its power lines and location of its GOD settings? It creates geometric location of shapes of travel to higher levels of formation locations to its memory set connections. Dimensional settings is all levels in how you see yourself through perceiving. It's all catching up and all line set interference. So once you become the atom, things get a lot more easier and faster through space and time. And those atoms in line position locations comes all calculating high line rotations, split scene anomalies, and 3-track location of flux capacitor. Flux capacitor comes in line setting and track to its communication system and traction. And that traction, line calculation, communications to all line centers and 3-track communication settings to your brain of its conversion to its system locations. Mega pass. Okay? Now, 3-line communication setting directions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's start with 5 platforms. Directing line calculations. The brain basically comes over, clouds the system location to your atom, and the atom rotates the surface electrical line calculation setting of infusion, sets direct signal location to your settings in all track location. Face recognition. Okay. Future, now. Future brings it into the now. Okay? All right. So, getting into that line setting and all that position locations, we come in this signals. Now, getting that position location of track lines in direct signal, we started off with this, so a complete cycle. So it's knowing exactly, once you come into that line and position locations, you have to really understand how to use yourself through dimensional sail. A dimensional sail is created through line calculation setting, how the brain converts the system locations to its solar sail. Solar sail is a direct signal to higher levels of its avatar. A dimensional sail is a convergent location setting to its higher self. The connections to all levels of a complete cycle is its sim of navigation. So it understands the high center interference of travel and recognition. Okay, remember the line communication chakras, all levels, and how it sets position location in your settings. So what you're doing, guys, is basically try to understand how this all works, is that the brain is trying to interpret what you're seeing. And once you understand that balance, see location line center interference, and location of travel settings, and all direct location this, comes into the platform of this in set locations in high setting in traction. Right? So I don't see it like this. I see it like this because that's what it is. Right? It's on an angle. It's shifting. Right? So in that line interference, you bring in the sun, you bring in the moon, and it protects the system location to its settings of its intelligence, which protects the set location. So that's, I'm looking at this pad. It has a force field. That's it right there. I'm looking at it right now. Right? So that everything creates a force field around through an energy line calculation, which is your EMF. E line settings are your energy line calculations, metric meters, line calculation, highest interference, 2-track location setting directions, 3 lines of parameters, line position of 4, process signal locations, high setting, 4 process over lines, 3 line position location of 7 in track communications, bring in position line condition of 7, 7 in track location. See, 7, 7, 7. Balance position line calculation, 3 lines, signature stream location settings, and 1-dimensional door of open sequence line communication to a system and traction. Complicated stuff, right? All through an EMF, right? So everything that you see has a force field and an EMF, has an energy magnetic field to protect its own system from everything that you do. As soon as you pick it up, you're going to feel a vibration. And if it doesn't recognize your signatures, you're going to get emotional and it's going to change the track line. It's protecting its own system. All right, so in that position location line setting, I want you to really understand how to get into levels and how you see yourself. So when you're seeing yourself at this locations in 3-line signatures and patterns, past, present, and your future set locations, right? 2i lines, 2i locations, right? So in that line calculation height position location, it's all about understanding how to surface location of past, center line communication of present to the future communications, right? Now, what is the set locations? What do you need to understand through past, present, and future? What do? You bring this in through pi. Congratulations, center operation, all at once. All at once, okay? So that's how planet CU is through pi, right? That's how they see it through pi. So you're directing line center, let's say you're on a 50-minute track, 30-minute line rotation, position of 60 million line seconds, box line rotation interference into 75 correlation panels, 115 megawatts line stream interference, center position locations, operations of box line surface, and triangulation reset position programs into L line rotation setting, and track to its communication to the sun to the moon line interference. You see how powerful it is? What I just did through pi? All through an atom rotation, through past, present, future, how it becomes pi, guys. X pi times pi, line communications of pi. You see how many track communication line settings and all line interference and track to its communication setting, all through calculation to its atom of its rotation surface location. Setting direct line calculation setting directions. This is how it becomes all line center in line rotation position location and track to its communication of its brain and line communication setting and all system and set locations. Okay, very powerful, isn't it? Okay, so understanding a little bit more how the brain works, right? The interpretation. Okay, let's see here. How's everybody doing this morning? We got a lot that's going on, right? I just wanted to show you how you guys see yourself. And that's what the brain is trying to do. It's trying to interpret the image. It's trying to understand the structure. It's trying to understand, are you creating an abstract? Are you training what are you trying to do? What are you trying to balance? What are you trying to understand? What are you not understanding? Why are you adding emotion? Why are you happy? Why are you sad? Why are you angry? Why are you frustrated? Because everything that you do, you're designing through the brain. And the brain has to understand the difference of set locations. Now that's connected to the hardware. That's connected to the software, which is the simulation through pi. Okay, so one more time in position of track lines. Okay, and set position locations. Okay, your I line settings and 3 track locations. All right. Now, when you see the line committee crosses over, okay, it crosses over location of these settings. Now that track location is always in position location of center of operation across the streams. Okay, intelligence, see it? Now, when you cross stream, you're bringing in the holographic setting of its structure, of its design that you created. And that's how it sees things, but it's got to cross right over left, left to right. So getting in that position locations, your eyes move this way in set position. Okay, and then you see the direct locations of what you created through its design in all calculation to setting and 3 set position. So in that line calculation setting, this comes forward in position of track lines into the structure of the design that you created through its holographic location. Okay, it's complicated stuff because now you're looking at a different direction. So remember, the calculation through the atom rotates and circulates all lines of communication solve setting. So it looks all the way around. It just doesn't look front and back. It looks everywhere. Okay, looks up, sides, downs, over, across, pi, position track lines, line signals, cross and stream lines, down line clock lines, and position of all dynamic core set locations, trap settings. So I know exactly how to set these things up through hologram, how to see things in front and how to see things in set locations. A travel. Okay, so it sees everything through its peripheral vision set locations. Yeah. Okay, so that's what you guys have to understand. So when you indicate 3 line signatures like this, right? Past, present, and future. Here's a planet. Planet scans you in 3 line communication of center, right? So in that set location system, if you're in the past and you're in the past, you're in line communication, the planet will set up echo chamber line string location in your systems because it doesn't recognize your setting. You have to be in the past, present, and future. If you indicate your line interference to pi in set locations, it won't set off sonar. So in that direct locations, you won't see any intelligence coming out in set positions. If you get an emotional line, they can scan your system in center position of operation. Okay? Because you didn't create the pi around the sun, around the moon, around the planets, around the surface, around intelligence, or anything in that location system. Everything is protecting its own system from you because it doesn't understand you until you understand yourself. Okay? All right. So I really want you to understand how this all works in all line position locations and how you see things and perceive things and how the brain sees things through its application system. It's trying to put the colors. It's trying to put the lights. Okay? It's trying to understand its system. It's trying to understand you. It's trying to understand what you're seeing is what you're perceiving through pi. X pi. Okay? Alera does that a lot. X pi. What's X pi? Well, that's the next lines of 2-line track locations. Pen operation lines, bracket communication, right? Which is line calculation of location grid, travel position of travel lines and set location of 3 settings. Okay? Coming position locations to its avatar, redirecting same location to a system, travel line calculation setting, scanning lines of 3-line position locations of pi. You've got to get into travel. So get in that communication, change the perceptions of 2-line signals. Position locations, intelligence comes back in 3-line patterns. Graphing stream locations at 12-line signature locations. There's the road. Graphing signal line inference. Here's the X lines and 2-line track locations and 2-line up position location of traction. Very powerful, isn't it? Setting position of center line. X turns into sun that correlates the high center travel communication indirect signal to a position location to its operation surface of its design. Okay? See, this is how you have to really understand how to reconstruct your setting of your design location, your systems, guys. How to create line calculations through its dimensional sail, okay, in all line rotation surface and triangulation of all set location. In line calculation to its center line, crop circle location setting and direct system to its location. Very powerful, isn't it? Okay, look at the face. Okay. It's amazing. Everything that you construct is a design of face recognition. Okay. We live in a holographic world, guys. We've always have. So get in that line, center line interference and set position travel lines. You can see the direct signal to a set location of system and travel calculations. Okay. Look at that. Look how powerful it is. Look how powerful it is. Boom. Right? Okay. So really point these things out, and the brain will interpret things a lot better. If it's set position location and it sees a computer, right? It sees its computer, it knows its keyboards, it knows its flash drive settings, it knows the line communication setting in position to its operation. That's great, right? Now you got 2 window screens. Right, set position locations. Now, if they're together, that's great. But if in line interference, if they're offline calculation setting, then they're all over the place in high track communication, in position locations, inline interference, electrical confusion, offline position, virus correlation setting, high position, cobwebbing, line inter rotations to its track locations of confusion. Overload. Overload. But if you look inside, you see the intelligence. See the arms, see the face? You see that location? Right? So space line calculations. Higher self and the avatar having a conversation. Right? Inside the computer frame of its design. Set locations of the setting. So really get inside lines of the eye line rotation surface, guys, and triangulation. So the brain is trying to understand the interpretations. All right, guys, stop fighting. So the atom comes out, the line rotation surface, triangulates the high center interference of the sun in direct location, high position, location, projection. Now the projection line interference, all calculations, higher self set position track lines, goes back to monitoring the Earth and what it does in line interference, stays out of correlation setting, track location of confusion. Now the avatar stays in line and rotations back in the center line operation. So the avatar is the center operation of GOD. So it's comfortable where it is in subposition traction. And the calculation high interference, the direct signal of the position location of Space Academy, is in its design doing well in line interference of space anomaly and set location and travel since that's location. Okay? Taking yourself out of confusion of an emotional line setting through a computer operation surface of the brain. Okay? So the only thing you're fighting against is you. Knowing how to get out of the situations. Okay? So I want you to understand how this is all set up. If we bracket interference at 1 0 line setting, 1 line calculation setting, in line rotations at 2 point system locations and 3 line dots, calculation high center interference and 1 line rotation, correlates high center, travel calculation, triangulation, reset position programs, and diamond core, shifting lines of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3 lines of 0, set position of 2 and 3 line calculation setting, puts position location at 3 lines, calculating high interference, it goes pi, correlation in direction. Okay. What does this all mean? Right? This is abundance. You don't see it as abundance, you see it as a drawing, but you understand what it is. This is the convergent locations of all adaptation, how it interprets the brain. So the brain understands the set location line set as the 3-track locations of pi. It understands its past, it understands its present, and it understands its future. So what you do is you bring it together and it creates an anomaly of line position location of center operation of face recognition of space and time. Mega, mega, mega pass. Okay? So, how's everybody doing so far? More confused? So what do you have? Interdimensional lines of Nikki, all of the principal Laura, all of those Geneva lines of Joshua, Tina, line condition line center of the quartz, and Nita, line interference, subposition and track lines, all those position locations into settings of, oh, it's great to see new people. It's great to calculation. Hi, Chris, how you doing? All right, welcome. I'm glad everybody's getting a little bit more understanding how this all works in your design locations and what you're coming into co-creation. All right, so I'm just going through solid text line settings and high track location of system. All right, it's important you guys understand what's going on through your settings. All right. All right, so once you get into face recognition settings and once you understand your atom lines, you come into molecules. So we're getting into that line in centers because we're going to higher communications. So the track communication lines are 244, track line communications of box, triangulation to reset position of flux capacitor, 3 sublocations, the top setting, right? 3 lines of track lines. Now 3 lines over 2 puts position of 1 pattern, direct line calculation setting, flux capacitor high calculation to 4 lines, track lines communication of 3, puts lines of 4, back in line connection of 7 in track location. Directing line calculation 7 lines, 7 position and travel levels of rotation surface in calculation of 0, 1 in rotation. Tracking communication setting line interference sets up new grounds, new surface line track location system into a set location line setting into its pyramid of set rotation and set line conditions of film strips and set location and travel. Okay, very complicated stuff, but this is formula, this is schematics, this is space, this is time, this is all calculation in a high setting. Very, very powerful set equation, right? So 24 signature line streams, sets line calculation setting, equal line calculation is 1, line interference XT1000, add 1,000 line streams. Directing line calculations in 1 measure, 2 locations in 3 line sets, position of track line. Directing calculation high interference, putting your line position location into mortals, the guideline communication setting, directing of 2, directing of 4, and directing line calculation setting into 2 solar panels in set position of track lines and set position of travel lines and 7 line rotation. Directing line communication setting crosses string. Directing line calculation of 6 over 7. 7 crosses lines of 8 in line interference. 8 crosses lines of 6 back into 5. 5 lines center into 2. 2 lines of 7 in perimeter and rotation surface and calculation. See the planet? See the planet? There's the planet and rotation surface. So everything is done from inside location. Right? Look how powerful that is. Okay. Now, getting on to angle points, communication line directions. Looks messy, but it's a complete cycle. All right. So get in that line interference. You're now at 244 into the brake converge location, zone levels cerebral. Track to its communication, waiting on position location line settings, going back on this line rotation. Track to its communications, opens all levels, open sequence, panel line rotations, waving line cycles, up and delta theta beta, mega line interference into 24 ground lines and 3 line rotations of pi and 244 in track locations. Done by equation. Center of collision line interference, 3 lines in position of 6 and then 12. There's your clock, there's your planet, there's your line calculation setting, Earth line rotations, in position your atom, calculation highest center, travel communication setting to your avatar, to your position location, your space academies, its application of travel is a balanced communication. Done by equation. Okay. I know, Jets. I just want to show you what you guys are coming into when you understand these line communication systems all through travel. Okay. Now I'm keeping these equations because tomorrow we come into line signature patterns, right? The position location is not a line communication high settings. So there's 2 track location of settings in all levels of parameters, 2 bracket line interference. And we take the 4 line signatures off calculation and 1 line interference. So we go in the communication of this line into bracket communication of hanger lines, directing lines of 2, position location of 4 lines and signals, 2 solar panels, 2 solar generation stream location and travels, direction of timelines, force line communication setting, all levels of operation, surface and location. Now, the travel communication line setting directs the signals back into the sun, correlates the highest center interference in line communication of its moon, and force center communication setting to a location grid and line set location attractions in all levels of division. Okay. Now, the division line center line interference, the 4 lines comes into 3, 4 lines comes into 4. 4 travels over 4 lines and 3 sets position location equals a high calculation of 7. 7 correlates the high center interference, brings the center position location 2 equals 7. Center positions of 1, line calculation of 8, 8 position location 8, 8 position location of 8, 8 position location of 8, calculation of line interference, male and female, direct line calculation of female male, direct line correlation setting, 244, equal line calculation XT1000 at 1 signature pattern, puts position location of 344 in line calculation of brain convergence and line conditions. Done by equation. There's the brain, there's the applications. Done by equation. All right, it's all set up. Okay, make sure you drink your water. Really understand what's going on. So you're setting lines in high position to your system. So really understand everything, how it's all modified to your brain conversion location system of track location. Okay, see the intelligence? See the eye? See the nose? See the chin? That's me, guys. That is me. All through formula equation, through letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. You see how that works? You see how that works? Setting track lines and instruction line interference. Look, setting tracks is communication. There's my eye. Okay, right there. Boom. That's me. Powerful, isn't it? It's all done. You guys are now at 344 lines. Track to its communication. We're going to wait on signal. Setting position locations, highest interference. Try to understand that your brain changes everything through face recognition. That's right. Each chakra is a formation line stream interference that correlates high center interference to your sim position attraction. I understand that through computer operation as I understand you through holographic sim applications. I showed you on so many competent line interference on face recognition what my brain looks like. So in track communication, it's going through circulation, it's going through rotation. Center line calculation setting and direction through arrow lines and direct setting locations in this set location of setting. Okay, so in that surface, it changes directions. It changes directions in set location. Okay, look at how powerful that is. Platforms are correlations of 24, 48, 72 into computer frame of a box line TV reception location of setting. Okay, energized lines, high lines of 2 platforms, 3 platforms of communication. Okay, now, understanding the low grounds and high calculation and mediation line interference, there's your Earth. Boom. 2 platforms of communications of dimensional doors. Now it's above the line calculated high center interference to the connections to the astral planes coming into the soul planes, the platform. Directing panels and line calculation setting is all direct signals and how you set your location, highest interference, and position of traction. So in line calculation setting, your avatar is going through higher communications and direct signals, reaching high position of center lines in teleportation streamlines in set location of 3 set locations to its space academy, a set line of its design location. Powerful stuff. Okay? But it needs a platform. It needs a clocking. Okay? It needs to understand its travel, a mechanism through the mind. The whole process here is to get into and go beyond the imagination of your phenomenon and create these of your design. Set locations, right? Planetary line. This is a planet now. I changed the frame into a planet location, which is in a different location, which basically changes the paths of communication of walking system locations. You're changing the vibration, you're changing the pad. You're changing the launch pad. So try to understand how fast you're going. So you're never in the same directions as that location. Say location is here. 3-line communications. Okay, pad here, pad here, pad here. These are launch pads. Calculations, calculations, calculations. Location grid. Let's get in darker segment. Location grid, traveling through. Okay, going up higher, changing again, right? And set position of travel. Okay, very powerful stuff. So once you get into correlation lines of panels and direction of time sequence, everything changes your perception, how you see yourself through motion. One signature line, right? Emotional line. Now, can you travel through that? No. Signature streams are anything line calculation setting that if you bring in another 7, you bring in number 7, it's going to travel over here. It will not travel over here. It will do this and signal and position location. You understand? Look at that. It signifies. It's not going to travel here. It travels here because this is balance and this is off balance. And this is from number 7. Number 7. So in that line communication setting, it doesn't matter if it's a box. It doesn't matter if it's a star. It doesn't matter if it's a rectangle. It doesn't matter if it's a Fibonacci. It will travel here. It will not travel here. Okay? Because this is off balance and this is balance. Okay? That's all it is. Balance is set location line settings. Indirect locations, the male is going, male, female. Yes. Crosses lines, set position location, 7-line channels, line stream interference, 7-line position location operation, calculation of ground lines, 0-line interference, and travel communications. That's what 7 created on this line. So it's comfortable because it's in signal, because it's in balance. And the masculine and feminine has set location of 1-line signature. Okay? So it doesn't matter. So you have to understand your emotional system has to be balanced on both sides of the polarities. Okay? Powerful stuff, guys. Pay attention. All right. Getting into that position, and once you understand how to use the emotional line track, everything is in balance. This is in balance. So the 7 comes in, right? And it will know exactly what it is in correlation of its direction of what it's creating in line communication to its pattern and at all levels of its operation surface, creates all calculation setting in its direct system to all levels of operation to its line calculation setting, all calculation interference, all position location, to its track, to its communication, to its setting. All through 7. Multi megapass. Okay? So aligned to the end routes, there's no end route of anything. You're just constantly traveling. Okay, there's no stop and go. It's not like, oh, I'm going to stop here, I'm going to stop there. You can't stop. You can slow down, but you can't stop. So, Chris, you have to really understand how space works inside. So you have to recognize the 7 in the signature line, off balance, balance. So the 7 is going to go over here. It's not going to go here. It's going to go through sonar. It's going to go through hesitation. It's going to go through mistakes. because it can't travel if it doesn't understand its setting, which means you don't understand the brain convergence of its set location to a system. So that's how this all works, guys. I really want you to understand how to balance out emotional settings. Because the thing is, you're creating holographic domes of travel set location line settings and all set location. You're creating holographic cities and high position location of travel set locations. You're creating all lines of high center interference and all calculation setting and new lines of rotations of its Earth line rotation. Set locations. Okay. But everything's got to be balanced on the male and the female polarities. If you could attract communication settings of, let's say, levels of a line of a letter, that's 3 line signatures right there, right? 1, 2, 3, right? 3. So this created this. This created this. So that's communications on both ways. This is an L, and that's a 3. 3 created the L, and L created the 3. Masculinity, femininity. Okay? Cycles in between. Up, down, circle line rotation. Okay? Correlation, atom rotation, and calculation. Okay? So direct and redirect. So 3 creates the L and L creates the 3. That's conversation piece and set location. That's balance and the male cycles of polarities and the female cycles of polarities. A 3 set line calculation lines of L and 3 location. Done by equation, right? So once you get into that position location, things get a lot more easier. So you understand the L, you can change the L. Every time you correlate high interference, if you're going through seconds on channel, perimeter line, position location, high setting, you understand that if you're going through 24 billion cycles per frame per second, your brain is going extremely fast in activity line rotations of colors. Track to its communication ground lines, high center interference, block line center interference, change position of track lines, and computer adaptation surface location and travel lines, back line center interference of 6 position location of moon, sets communication settings, platform communication lines, a 2 track to its communication. Done by equation. It knows what it's doing. It does everything on its own. I don't do anything. It does everything on its own. Everything is done. So if everything's done, I'm just coming back in your frames. So when you get that line interference, we change box line rotation center, 3 on communication setting, direct location of 24,000 line signatures, position location of 5, 5 generation line interference of 6, throw pattern communication setting, direct line calculation 6 equals 9, energy wash communication setting, direct signal location all levels. There's the communication of the dome. So you're creating the inside. All right. So bringing in the sun and you bring in the moon, gets rid of plateaus, density lines, high interference, low interference, all emotional track locations, and creates its anomalies of its holographic structure of its design. Inside location. So all this disappears for protection. So the intelligence that comes in doesn't see it. Doesn't see what you created. Energy can be taken away, guys. It's all levels of set locations, right? It's energy, it's data. It can be diffused. It can be line calculations sending offline positions. It's all levels of diffuser. It drains your energies and all line communication in the system. So that's what it is. One signature line. Is that straight or is that off balance? I'm being particular. Is that straight or is that off balance? Is it straight or is it off balance? Even though it's a line signature. It's off balance here. See? It's not a line. See? I am very particular. Okay? So I know exactly what's offline. I know exactly what's online because it positions locations of sonar, direction of time sequence, and position of travels and line communication with setting. All applications. It's the smallest details that identifies of what you perceive through perception. Okay? So when you see these things, that line signature line, you bring it up close. Okay? Gypsy knows this. So come into line communication, brings it up close. Brings it up close. From that to this. So we see the line signatures like this. Right? But then we open it up and it looks like this. And we realize what's going on. Oh, 0 lines off calculation, electrical line and fusion. There's line calculation, high center interference, but position track lines. Bring in the line signature pattern and direct signals. Bring it out of the equation. There's a line. Done. You're fixing the smallest detail of its design locations back into one line set location of its motional system. Okay? And anything line combinates 3 sees it, looks fine. 3 travels through this application travel lines, travels the platform, creates a dimensional door to travel the communication setting, direct signal, opposite the location setting to another dimensional line rotations, comes communication line center interference to triangulation resets, XT1000 comes in, scans position locations 1, 2, and 3 set locations, setting up all line rotation surface and triangulation high interference and crop circle location. All through balance. That's set locations. Okay? You see what you're coming into now and see how powerful these things are? And so I want you to be aware of why you're doing these things. It's what you interpret is what you see, and you can't see through emotion because it affects everything. If you look at a wall line, this is you in position locations. You're looking at the wall, right? This is the wall. So when you look at the wall, you're looking at 3 line settings. You can look at a 4, you can look at a 5, you can look at a 6. Set position of center. You can look at it 7 different line communications, right? So in that correlation setting, the wall comes out of its own set locations in this position of track lines and looks at you in position locations. This is the wall looking at you right now in set location. This is this looking at you. Okay. So if it understands you in set locations, you are out communicating with the wall. That's you. You scan 3 line communication. It scans you back in set location. Congratulations, you're communicating with the wall now. Make it pass. That's all it is. That's all it is. All right, you got a signature pattern, correlation, high center interference. Let's go through the foundation 12. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 signature lines of walls. Set position location 0 equals 1. Crosses string, 2 lines. Equal lines of 2. 2 crosses lines of 3. 3 line crosses of 4. 4 line crosses of 5. 5 line crosses of 6. 6 crosses location of 7. 7 crosses location of 8. 8 crosses location of 9. So you know what I'm doing? They're jump scaring from 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, and 11 to 12 in set locations. So what do you think you have? A correlation setting, direct signal locations of a wormhole and line rotation surface and both line calculation setting and direct signal location and positions of travel. You see how I jump scar line communication of 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. It's, you guys have to communicate. That's all this is communication. Communication, 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 communication of center position. Created this line calculation setting all direct location of a hologram or a location grid in line position location, or I created my Earth in set location. Okay? So you're constantly changing frames because your mind is going so fast, the acceleration. Okay? So I'm giving you exactly what you already know, which you need to understand, which is understood. So again, starting with the line signature stream location. Is this off balance or is this balanced? It's confusing, right? Because this is balanced, even though you see this is off balance, right? Because they already see the complete cycle, already set position of track lines and 3 line rotation. Putting positions of 2 panels or 3 line calculation stream locations. Directing line communication crossing overs into the sun, protecting the line communication, all lines, all rotation surface. Okay? Everything is a design location of setting a travel position location out of the equation. Everything, everything. Platted surface, there's an XT1000 line, scans positions of what you finished doing through 3 set location of centers, or position of 4, open up another line and rotation surface and a crop circle location of setting direction. Okay, what's behind there? 2 mountains. Right there. There's the mountains. Pyramids are inside. Pyramids are inside. Pyramids are inside. Multipass. Okay? You're creating, reconstructing, redesigning, reanalyzing, remodifying recalculating, reopening, retriangulating, repositioning, revoluming, okay? That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. Okay, so understand the signature streamlines, the perceptions over pi. Pi lines is x line center. Pi equals x line. So it can be anything through small line. It can be a small line interference. So it could be like this in locations, right? So that's indication lines of 3 walls. 1, 2, 3. 3 wall indicators, right? Comes into 1 line stream, 2 line stream, and 3 line stream. Pi indicates highest center locations at all levels at 2 panels in rotation. Track lines. So we take the 1, we take the 2, and we take the 3. Sets position location of perceptions. Equal lines correlates setting. 3 indicates line center interference. 3 travels over here. 4 sets position of waiting signal. Calculates high interference. 5 in the center line rotation. 2 in the track locations equals lines of pi and factor over division. Okay, and set position of travel. Okay, so it's all about understanding how to formulate the line center and high position of travel lines. Direction of time centers is all calculated when you get that lines in position all the levels in this application system. So you put it all together and all lines of rotation, surface, and triangulation. Okay, but you got to create the pi direction of time lines. Once you get into this, you come into this. Okay, so but you have to understand the formula has got to be inside the equation. So when you bring in the sun, you're protecting all lines of what you just co-created in this application, which is your pyramid. See? What's inside? Pyramid. See? Isn't that amazing how these things are set up and how you see things in different direct location system? And all line calculations. If I bring this in the line calculation setting, like that, you see like that. But if I turn it like this, it's another direction. If I turn it like this, it's set position locations. It's another direction of perception. See? See, that's how you have to start seeing things in all set location of setting. Okay? In all set locations of face recognition. Face. There's the brain, there's the face. There's the eyes. Here's the eyes. So it's looking down. Okay? Eyes are looking down. There's the brain. Okay? Get inline center interference in all set location system and all track locations. There's the shoulders in all direction. Okay? You see how that works? Very, very powerful stuff in set locations. So you're always creating from inside position of your settings through holographic design. Okay, but you got to see it in all line position to all levels of operation. See? Intelligence. Isn't that amazing? How this is all set up location to its pyramid? Look, there's the pyramid. There's the face. See? You can't just see in front. You got to see all around. You got to see up, down, side, everywhere. Align positions through pi at 24 now. Not 12, 24. Your clocking system at all track location is now in a 24 division. When you're seeing a 24 division lines of pi, it's all direct signals in all set location line system, all travel line setting. Now you can direct on this line communications and all levels of direction. Okay? But look. Pyramid. Inside. You are inside location. Right? So you track locations, 3 line signatures, 3 here, 3 here. Portal here, centered rotation, setting calculation. Going through 2 line centers of travel calculation, stream locations, directions, setting lines of perimeters, line sectors, calculation setting, open up a portal communications, and traveling out in line ference and position all levels of location. Okay? You see how that works? You see how that works? Okay? You can get out of any situation in any ways and form. You just have to really understand how to go through the portals. And so when you get into that communication setting directions, This is balancing your system more and more each day. 3-line signatures, 3-line signatures, right? One signature stream in the center, okay? So you got 3-line communication, 3-line communications, 3 triangles, right? Separated, but now they're together in rotation, right? Now they're together in rotation, right? Setting track locations. There's the intelligence. Okay, so there's the face. There's the neck. It's easy, guys. It's so easy to do these things. And you bring in the XT1000, see what you've done, scans position location of 3 in the center, 3 in the center, 3 in position operation. Once it understands what you created, it brings in a crop circle, line set locations, 3-line signatures, streamlines, down cross line, 3-line signatures, streamlines, down cross line, set location of system. Track to its communication, set lines of high center interference, travels out, right into the XT1000 in set location. Once it goes in XT1000, it travels out back to the new lines of a new operational line set location. Mega pass. Okay? You guys have to learn to understand how this all works inside of you and set location. All through operation of your own set design through intelligence of facial recognition. So everything that you draw is a face of you. Different space, different time. Because it's connected to your chakras. Which is what? 3-3. All right? 3-3 creates the face recognition of this. And the XT1000 comes in, finds out what you just finished doing. Creates the crop circle. Sets position locations, changes the triangulation, surfaces down, and surfaces up and levitates it. Beams it up and takes it back to the moon. All right, so now you understand that indication. Things get a lot more easier now, how all this is set up in location settings, right? Yep, schematics to 360 degree, or 160. Rotation line interference, circle line interference, 50%, 60%, 70 line interference, travel characteristic setting. So you can do it through an XPi. XPi position line setting directions, right? Equal lines of 1, line calculation of 0, docile on 1 point sys locations, right? So it's all about understanding that the X line centers understands the 2-track communication. Everything is forward going back. So forward, going back. Right? So what does that create? It creates 2 anomalies in the split lines of the center line and center line rotation surface application, which is your center of the dot communication of your pyramid set lines and center position. X marks the spot. There's the pyramid, right? So you're always creating what? Pyramids of design. Okay? Now, Chris is in charge of the pyramid lines of astral projections and how you see yourself through vision. But the correlation high interference is your formulas of what you create in line calculation setting through XPi or anything position. So coming in that line interference comes in this track location of setting to another pyramid line rotation of frame. Okay, so frame within a frame with a frame, looking this way and looking this way, straight this way and looking this way and on an angle, right? This is on an angle. This is straight. This is on an angle. This is a diamond core. It's that location. Right? This is going forward. It's that position of 2-track locations into another diamond core set location line setting. Okay? This is coming forward into a new ground line operation surface set position of travel. Okay? Very complicated stuff through XPi. See? You work with the equation. Everything starts making sense how to create the hologram through imaginary line that you can't see. And when you see these things, you start to understand more levels of the inner child, because that's all the inner child does is draw its own design to come back in its own memory of what it's already co-created. So what is space and time? The sun and the moon coming back to you through set location. So this is you into memory. So what happens is the sun communicates with you. See if you're ready. If you're ready, it creates its portal and you travel through in set position location of travel setting. Creates a tunnel and you travel through spiritual growth in line calculation setting and all direct locations through its pi. Okay? Very, very powerful stuff. It's so creative. Once you understand why these things are happening to you, is that how this operates its setting. The sun and the moon come back to you through projection of memory. And everywhere you go, you travel through its design to get back to the center of operation and all correlation setting of face recognition of yin and yang. Okay? It's so amazing. It's so incredibly amazing. Okay? But now you understand why you have the higher self, why you have the avatar, and why you have your sim, which is 6 and 9. Okay? So once you create that, everything gets easier. Once you create that, everything gets easier. Once you create that, everything gets easier. Figure 8. Figure 8 line center, high line in rotation, surface and triangulation, high set, position, operation, set location. Here's a figure 8. Figure line interference, center line rotation. Figure 8, figure 8, figure 8, figure 8. What are you creating? Flywheel. Now, what does a flywheel create? It's line center interference. Add another circular line rotations. Congratulations, you created an atom. So now you understand why it's so important to understand the mediation line streams and applications to your higher self, your avatar, through frequencies of its sim, which creates an atom, which creates yin and yang, which creates the male and the female polarities of cycles of balance correlation setting that puts all track to its communication to your holographic sim, a set design. Okay? Moving faster, Toledo. It's so powerful what you guys are coming into, and you really understand how this is all incorporated in your system, location, your settings, right? You can't misinterpret anything because everything that you do is balance. You see, the reason why I know these things is because I'm balanced from inside and out and outside and in. Inside, out, outside, in. Process, line calculation, setting of yin and yang. Okay? So that's how this works. That's all it is. You got to balance everything from inside first before you can balance anything from outside. And outside comes to you as allocations. You're balancing your inside and all line settings, understand how it works, and all line communications coming back into your memory. The sun and the moon will come back to you wherever you go. Because you're awake, it's going to follow you now, right? Because it's a magnet to a magnet. So the more memory you come back line sending, the brain understands the interpretations of everything that you see through perception. It's scanning this, scanning this, scanning this, scanning this, memory. So every time you do that, the sun and the moon will keep coming back faster and faster and faster and faster in design. So you're here, you're here, you're here, and you're here, trying to get to the center. And once you get in the center, this becomes in the center operation of set location of the design through yin and yang. Hoo-ah. So that's what you're coming back to, is understanding the lights and the dark of yin and yang, a process, position, location of setting, and track communication. What does it mean, all those, to your set location? Mega pass. Okay? That's it. We're done. Woo! All right. So mortal gods are lines in a high interference position of track lines. You guys are now at 344. Track tunes correlation today and location of cerebral line stream interference. Got to lock the signals in. Line chemistry to your sun, the moon line interference 6 over 5. Lines to rotation 3. Back into 4. Back into 7. Track towards correlation setting position location of 12. Track line interference 24. Signal line communication, conversion heart. Direct line correlation setting, high position interventional DAWs, connection high interference. God's direction of the time sequence, metric operation design line interference is down to 12. Signal line interference, heart direction of correlation high direct location setting. Galactic line communication of 101 or track communication converge location of 5 division line interference, pi carbon location calculations through locations, and convergence over pi. Directing signal line interference in all position track lines in a 24-line dimension of space and time. So the balance of the male and the female of the polarities are now in balance line interference. Waiting on signal and position location on Friday and set location Saturday. Directing all correlations and positions back in imagination, back into phenomena, to the inner child cycle of yin and yang. All right. See you in 5. Adios.